Hey everyone, what's up? It's your girl Cuddle, back again with another Tekken tutorial vid, and today's topic will be dealing with moves with pushback. Moves with pushback are moves that literally push you further away from your opponent and vice versa, and I believe this topic can really help new players and seasoned ones as well. So in dealing with moves with pushback, these moves that push us further away from each other are heavily negative and are technically unsafe, which means you would be able to punish them, right? In theory, yes. However, because of the range at which the move can push you back, sometimes it's kind of hard to find a move to punish or respond to with your character, because not every character has the best range when it comes to punishing a long range move, like Heihachi's forward 2 or Paul's death fist. But today I will show characters that have amazing options and responses to some of these more popular moves with pushback. And I'm really happy to do that because I want to be able to show people that a lot of the time you do have an option / answer to many of the things in this game. Take a look. The first move with massive pushback that we're going to learn how to defend against is Jack's down forward 1-2-1-2. And this string can be ducked after the first hit, and you can even sidestep it right after the first hit and do a power crush. But we're going to show what happens if you just block the full string and you have a character with a long range punish. We're going to start with yours truly, Elisa, of course. And the move that I use to respond to the string is back forward 2, which is also a power crush. The start frames on it are 17, and my frame advantage is plus 18. And because I have the long range punish, I can take advantage of that frame advantage. And don't forget, for all you Elisa players, if you get this move off, you also can do a follow-up move because he's grounded. Especially if they don't roll backwards. And if they don't roll back, you can even get a down forward 2 or a forward 1+2. So Lisa gets a pretty nice punish for blocking that whole string. I will also show what happens if you defend it another way. So say if we just duck it, and you know they're going to finish the string, you can just duck the string, or sidestep right after the first hit and duck. Or sidestep after the first hit and do a power crush. So that's another option. After the first hit, if you're gonna duck, you have to be pretty quick on that timing, whatever you choose to do. I personally like the power crush option, or ducking after. So that's just to show your options as Elisa, using back forward 2 to punish Jack string that has massive pushback. Now we're going to switch to Asuka, and like Elisa, Asuka also has a long range punisher that is a power crush, but it's also a wall bounce as well. I can't wait to show this. I love this power crush so much, and this long range punisher. We're gonna set us to go to the wall. See how useful that long range punisher is? Now this move is her power crush and her wall bounce. It's forward 1+2. It's also a high like Elisa's, and starter frames on it are 16. For the most part, it hits pretty consistently. Sometimes, depending on the pushback, it doesn't though. You literally have to wait until after he recovers, like fully. It's like he's still springing back, and he's still got a little bit more pushback before he actually just stops. Okay, now we're going to switch to Brian, and we're going to be using his forward 2, yet again his power crush, like the other characters, to punish this move. It's 13 frames on startup, so pretty quick. It's a pretty fast punish. Now this one I think is even a little more strict on timing sometimes, because the range isn't as good as Asuka's or Elisa's, but if you can buffer out the forward pretty quick, you should usually have no problems with getting this. It's just about buffering the forward motion, and it's a power crush, so that's nice. And at the wall, you'll get a wall splat, which is also very nice. Okay, now we're going to go to Kings, which is one of the most forgiving long-range punishers ever. Kings forward 2-1, I feel is like, it has to be top 3 best long-range punishers on pushback moves ever. So for you King players, using forward 2-1 to deal with moves like this will be your best friend. Look at how good that punishes. And the start frames on that is 15. It'll make a Jack player think twice from doing this move completely. It's just wonderful. One of the reasons I love using King so much is because of how good that Punisher is. And if they stay down, maybe you get a little oaky, right? So you've got some really nice options. So like I said, Kings forward 2-1, one of the best long-range punishers for pushback moves, I think, of all time. Now we're going to show how Dragunov responds to this Jack string. I think when it comes to the Jack Dragunov matchup, I feel like Drag just has so many answers for this character. I feel like it's heavily in his favor in regards to the matchup, and this situation is no different. We'll be using Drag's forward 1+2 to deal with this string. And see how it's a consistent punish every single time? He gets an elbow for that. And it's a launcher. As you can see by the spiral that he has. He gets a tailspin. So Drag has no problem in dealing with this. It's just a straight elbow to him right after the 2 punch comes out. The last 2 punch comes out. And I think this just shows even more so how Drag is really good in this matchup, especially for the moves that Jack has with major pushback. So for you Drag players, remember, forward 1+2. If anybody tries to spam this string on you, and you're like, what do I do? Now you know. Use forward 1+2, you use the elbow. So as you can see, these are some really good, consistent options versus this string. One of the most popular moves that have pushback and just haunts players to the end of time is Paul's Death Fist. Quarter circle forward 2. Now I'm going to show you all how to deal with this move that has massive pushback at every range. We'll start with Elisa. And as I showed, back forward 2 is the answer. Now, from further back, it's a little tougher to time that. But usually from ranges like 1 to like 2, you're good. But the further back it is, it's a little more difficult, and you kind of have to buffer out the back forward 2 quicker. This move is 13 frames, so it's fast, and it hurts like terribly, but Elisa's back forward 2 is a great response to it, because it leaves him at a huge disadvantage. At -17 frame disadvantage, we'll call it that, and she's +17 with frame advantage. The move is so negative. I will show what happens if you use a move that doesn't have the accurate punishment though. See how it's like right outside of his range, but down forward 4 is not hitting, so you have to be mindful of what long range punishers your character has, because my down forward 4 is not hitting, right? My down forward 1 kind of hits, but the further away I am does not work. Forward 2 doesn't really work consistently, at least. See how the jab whiffs, the kick whiffs? So it's important that you know your long range punishers for moves that have pushback like these situations that I'm showing right here. Now we'll go to Asuka. I know sometimes Asuka players will use forward 2 to punish the Death Fist, but I'm just going to show forward 1+2 for now. Very, very consistent option. Now, at this range, forward 2 works. At a shorter range, forward 2 works. But once we start getting pushed back a little bit more, it starts whiffing. And a good Paul player will mix up those ranges. See how that's whiffing? Yeah, it's whiffing every single time. But forward 1+2 is more consistent. And that's what you want. You want consistency. Now, once you start getting more comfortable with knowing what your ranges are and where you can use forward 2, like right here, I know I can use forward 2. Right here, I know I can use forward 2. And I'll get my full combo. But, you know, the further away I am, if you don't want to guess wrong and potentially get launched for trying to attempt a punish, then I'd say go for the more consistent option, which is forward 1 plus 2. We're going to go to Brian Fury. We'll use his forward 4-2 punish just like we did for Jack String. Now, like I showed earlier, buffering out the forward is something you still have to kind of get used to. So I definitely say practice it. And the further back it pushes, it's a little more difficult to punish. Like all the characters I've shown, but still very consistent. Now, I know sometimes players will go for like maybe forward back 2. It's a little tougher. Like, depending on if Paul's back is to the wall, you can get it. You can definitely get the move. But even then, it's very difficult, probably unless you micro dash. But I know, you know, if you attempt that, I'd say be careful. I'd say go for something else instead. Even forward 2-1-4 works better than going for that kind of launcher. It's kind of tough for him to just launch this, but he still has an answer for it, which is 4-4-2 or forward 2-1-4, which is good. It's still something, and it's better than nothing. Next, we'll switch to Drag. And Drag, you know, his elbow is just wonderful. It just, you know, it reaches every range in the book for the most part. See how that's hitting? And if Paul's back is to the wall, you got him. Now we're gonna go a little further back. Still hits. The forward 1 plus 2 still hits. Still hits from even further. Probably one of the more consistent punishers for Paul's Death Fist. Alright, now we're gonna switch to King. The longest range of punishers. Yep, a nice clean 2-1 every single time. Now that did whiff. But overall, it's better for you to go for it than not. What you want to do is, you know, get the muscle memory to see a Death Fist comes out, and you have the muscle memory to automatically respond to it with a long range punisher. So that's the whole thing, because that's really important. Say if we try and go for a hop kick with King, what could happen is there's no range. There's no range with it. There's no range. See, that hop kick has no range. I'm always better off with King doing forward 2-1. See that hop kick? It does not reach at all. Forward 2-1. You always want to do forward 2-1 with King if you're going to punish Death Fist. The last move that I'm showing with massive pushback is Heihachi's forward 2. And it's a really good move to just, you know, keep the distance, right? But at least that's back forward 2. You know, you kind of have to be a little bit closer. The closer you are, the more consistent it'll be. But I did test, and her Rage Drive is the most consistent. You know, when you have it. I'm hitting it from this range, and I'm able to punish him for it. Compared to if I hit back forward 2 from that range, it's just not as consistent at all. Now the startup on it is 19, and the start frame for the Rage Drive is 16. With Rage, definitely go for the Rage Drive. Without Rage, going for the back forward 2 is not a bad option. But I'd say if you're not that close to Heihachi, when he does forward 2, be a little careful with where you want to place back forward 2. Now we'll switch to Asuka, and I think this is a really good punisher versus Heihachi, specifically for forward 2. Forward 1 plus 2, wonderful. Now it does whiff, as you can see from like this kind of like a further range, like maybe like 2. But the closer you are, yet again, like with the Lisa's, is where the punish will be the most consistent. Okay, now we're gonna go to Brian. Yeah, you have to be so quick. Buffering out the forward 2 is something that you kind of have to get used to. But this is the smoothest punish attempt I've had with a character versus Heihachi's forward 2 so far. We're gonna go to King. And King, of course, like I've been saying the whole time in this video, his long range forward 2-1, one of the best. Yeah, see how consistent that is? Now, yeah, from like max range, it's a little harder, but still very consistent. You know, like with all these pushback moves, it's to create distance between you and that person. Or, you know, it's to create distance between you and your opponent. That's why they do it. They don't want to have to deal with you up close. So it kind of like resets any sort of neutral or momentum that was going on. But to stop them from being able to abuse that, always know your options, like what I'm showing here. I mean, the fact that King has a 4-2-1 and a wall splat from certain ranges, like, that's phenomenal. We're not going to use drag for this. We're going to use Jack 7. We're going to use Jack for this because I found that his new move added to season 4, forward 1+2, it's really unique. Yeah, it reaches from pretty long range, and Jack's known for having long range punishers. And down forward 2 is whiffing, so down forward 2 wouldn't really work well. Unless my back is to the wall, right? Now, another option that Jack can use versus forward 2 is forward 1+2. Forward 1+2 is really nice as well. It does 22 damage, which is not bad, you know. But say we're at the wall. Jack's forward 1+2 is a wall bounce, so that would change everything, right? Let's try now. Yeah, see how that changes everything? So Jack has some really good options versus Heihachi's forward 2 as well. Using down forward 2 versus Heihachi's forward 2 is only good for Jack if Jack's back is to the wall, like I showed. I wouldn't attempt it at just open unless you really know your ranges. Like I said, you have forward 1+2 and forward 1+2 as answers to the forward 2. I would like to show one more character, and that's Jin. I'm gonna use forward 4. Still hits. Yeah, it's still hitting. It's hitting from every range. Yeah, Jin has probably one of the best punishers against moves that have pushback. I just want to show a little bit of what he's capable of in regards to long range punishers. Just small sample for all you gym players out there. So those were my small examples of how multiple characters can deal with tons of different types of moves with pushback. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And remember, there's always a solution in Tekken. Happy gaming!